Yep. Ding ding, let's go. So this concept of increasing the fidelity and your bit rate at the soul level. So fidelity is the in signal, the quality, the pristineness of the original signal. Now, like I've expressed in other videos, what we're aiming at is more clarity and more expansion of soul. So this is the clarity portion, where just the the true blue signal, how clear is it coming through? How original is it to the prime source? So essentially this is one of the many places that intuition comes in, where something's coming up and instead of it being corrupted, co-opted, usurped by the mind's incessant want and need to have its say, the ego and whatnot, and the fears and the nefarious internal desires and fantasies that tend to muck up what would otherwise be a clear, pristine, soulful, peaceful, divine signal. And I'll try to make it as unwoo-woo as possible, where there's this alignment, coherence concept, going in line with intuition, going in line with love, where there are times, and you've essentially experienced this before, whether it was obvious, explicit, or sort of subconscious, implicit, as opposed to explicit, where you just know something is the right thing to do, the right thing to say, the most wholesome thing to do or say, to be, to enact. So that's what we're talking about with fidelity, just the rightness. Not righteous in the sense of shoulds and ought tos and the, human laws of things. You could make the argument that there are universal laws to things where it's not right or wrong, but there's just this coherence, this alignment aspect of it, where you're like, okay, this is the taking the higher road. This is the right thing to do in a very real, intuitive, soulful, heart-based sense. So that's the fidelity, the pristineness of the signal, the clarity of the signal, fidelity. And if we're talking about bit rate, we're getting plus or minus, and science has essentially proven this, corroborated this, confirmed this, that we're getting plus or minus, I think it's 11 billion bits of information per second. So the bit rate is how much information we're able to, not subconsciously, but consciously notice, realize, and utilize, integrate, embody within yourself per second, per moment, whatever. And I love this concept of aliveness per second, peace per second, gusto per second. What's another good one? Soul per second, essentially. But, if we're talking about soul, that's kind of related to fidelity. But in terms of bit rate, how lush, and fulfilling and alive per second, per moment are you experiencing life? How beautiful and amazing is this food that you're eating? Is this vista that you're vesseling, right? How much beauty and love and amazement, how much of this life juice are you enjoying per second? It makes me think about drugs, psychedelics more specifically, and you can make the argument that weed, cannabis, is a very mild psychedelic, so we could throw that in there with psychedelics like LSD and psilocybin, things like that, where things are more vivid and amazing and beautiful and delicious. You're still living the same life. You're still experiencing this clock time that everyone's experiencing, but it's a higher bit rate and also a higher fidelity because more soul is coming through. You're getting a clearer signal and the bit rate of a more expanded signal. You take that bite of food and, at least in this particular situation, sober as opposed to on psychedelics, you're taking the bite of food, and maybe hours before, when you were completely sober, you take a bite of the same food and you're like, all right, this is good, it's pretty good. But then being on psychedelics, you take that same bite of food, and let's just say you're the same amount of famished, same amount of hungry, but you take that bite of food and it's somehow more delicious, more amazing, more beautiful. Your lust for life, your love for life has increased in that moment. And I'm saying right here, right now to you, you don't need psychedelics to experience a higher bit rate, a higher fidelity. You can do certain things, and at the time of making this video, I'm on the final stages of making my book, Sober Psychedelics. Maybe by the time you're watching this, it's already out. Check it out. It's all about the different modalities, different immersions, different initiations that you can enact within yourself, into yourself, that increase the fidelity and the bit rate. And you don't need drugs. You don't need psychedelics. You can utilize these certain initiations. You can do these certain things. You can be these certain ways. Talked about in my book, Sober Psychedelics. Just right off the bat, I'll mention some. Meditation. Oh no! That's woo-woo, BS nonsense. Well, do it for long enough, experiment, try things out, and you're creating this space between your consciousness, your awareness, your nowness, and the things that come up in your mind, the situations that come up in your environment. You're less reactionary in the non-beneficial sense. There's space between what you're experiencing and what you're choosing to do about it. There becomes more of a choice. It's not, whoa, I lost myself. Sorry, I blew my top. Sorry, I lashed out. Sorry, I shut down. There's more space so that you're more conscious, you're more able and ready to respond consciously instead of lashing out, shutting down, losing yourself. And that's a really big thing. So, I don't need to talk about more of the sober psychedelics. I'd like to talk more about just what these integrations, these embodiments are going to do for you the more and more that you take them on, the more and more that it takes you on. You create more space, you're more conscious, you're more aware, you're more in the now, you're more ready and able to be a conscious consumer, a conscious doer, a conscious beer. You get less and less lost in the sauce. You can enjoy food without the craving or addiction taking you over. With food, with entertainment, with people, places, and things, with your own thoughts and emotions, you're less and less swayed, you're less and less carried away by these certain layers, these inevitable, these very real and very present layers of life within you, the mind, the emotions, the body, and in your environment, the people, places, and things, your wants and needs, your goals, the people, places, and things you have to interact with, work with, in order for you to get a more clarified and expanded life. From the heart and soul level, from the layers of self, from the layers of environment, of external life, etc., etc. And this can seem complicated and daunting, and if you ever get those feelings, we have to remember, always remember, that we can take on one thing at a time. If you're in a stressful situation at work and you need some space and time to sort of just cool off, existentially exhale for a little bit, get a little stimulus minimum, find the time, place, and space to do it. Break away for a little bit, take a bathroom break, take a walking break, rest for a bit, maybe close your eyes, have a little, handful of minutes power nap, whatever you need to do. Because there's a zooming in and a zooming out aspect of life where if you're too zoomed in, if all of this stuff is going on and a certain particular situation in whether it be, your work life, your home life, your family, friend, dynamic, whatever, to know that you can zoom out and, let's just say, for example, you're in conversation with someone and you're so zoomed in that these words are becoming your world. You have the power, you have the ability to notice that, and you can enact a sort of zooming out where you're like, wait, these words, this conversation, this situation, this doesn't have to be my perceptual world right now. I can zoom out and say, look, this is a moment, in a minute, in an hour, of a day, of a month, of a week, of a year, of a lifetime. I like to zoom out a little bit on an Earth, in a solar system, in a galaxy, in a universe. It's like, look, I don't have to make these words, this situation, my world. Let me zoom out a little bit, put things into perspective, breathe slowly, look slowly, sense, right? Because that's one of the, healing salves, remedies for being in a state of anxiety and panic. It's like, look, okay, get right in your senses, just get present, breathe, Just sense, use your 5 senses, read something, touch something, maybe get a little more stimulus minimum, zoom out a little bit, just be in the here and now, just sense. Okay, all right. And not needing to define anything. This doesn't have to be any particular thing. That was one of my notions. I think I called it notions of high impact. Nothing is anything till I say so. It was something like that, if not that. Nothing is anything until I say so. I don't have to define anything. And that is a notion, that is a integration, a vesselage of peace and calm, where you're like, am I saying this situation or this person or these words or this particular sense is this particular thing? And is it causing me anxiety, depression, anger, sadness, etc.? I don't have to define this right now. This isn't anything for right now until I say so. And there's power. There's power in that and the general concept of I don't have to give this any sort of definition, any sort of label until it's right and pragmatic to do so. It's just, if I need to define anything, I can just say something very, very simple and calming like, this is this, life is life, I am I, here we are. This is this. Right? Give ourselves that space and time, slowing down a little bit, zooming out, giving ourselves that grace, right? So yeah, just to wrap it up, Fidelity and Bitrate. Fidelity, the clarification, increasing the clarity, increasing the fidelity, and then increasing. Yeah, is it a and then? Does the fidelity, does the clarity of soul come first? Well, yeah. Just like I was saying, to zoom out a little bit, to be uncluttered, to be okay, and this is a beautiful concept right here. And it becomes more and more true the more and more that you live life, the more of this intentionality that you live, where life is perfect the way that it is, right here, right now. Again, if you don't believe that, if that doesn't feel real and true to you, live these things out. My content is helping anyone, you and anyone, to realize this, to know this, to have it be more and more true for you. Life is perfect the way that it is right now. From the get-go. Clarity, fidelity, just unclutter yourself, zoom out a little bit, get some space. And then comes the increasing of the bit rate, increasing of the expansion. I am perfect right here, right now, and expanding. Perfect and increasing bit rate. Perfect and increasing the expansion. From the heart and soul level and beyond. All of our layers. There you go. As I like to end the videos, with respect, much respect to you, much respect to us, for respecting and living with these layers, the heart and soul, the mind, the emotions, the body, and the wherewithal to live our external life. Much respect to all of the physical and non-physical goodies that the earth provides, that space, the cosmos provides, food, air, water, shelter, the ether, all of that, all the elements, physical and non-physical elements, all of this working in symbiosis as one thing. We're living it out, we're working it out, living it out, loving it out. This is Mr. Mike. Catch you later.